Just like the Herrscher of Origin, the Herrscher of Finality is likely going to constantly be compared to her predecessor, the Herrscher of Flame Scion. Thankfully, the Herrscher of Finality does live up to her name in pure fire damage. She also beats the Herrscher of Flame Scion with her ability to inflict Ignite Trauma. More importantly, we're also being introduced to an actual built-in team synergy. The Herrscher of Truth, Origin, and Finality can activate a couple of special features when all three of them are in the same team. The Herrscher of Truth gets her SP cost for her ultimate decreased from 125 SP to 75 SP, and the Herrscher of Origins gets hers decreased from 75 SP to 50 SP. Of course, when in this state, the damage is also switched to just one hit of lightning or ice damage respectively, instead of the full damage of the original ultimate. These ultimate attacks also trigger a special QTE for the Herrscher of Finality, which bypasses the normal switch cooldown. The Herrscher of Finality gets her ultimate transformed to the joint ultimate, which deals damage with all three elements, but with fire having the highest multiplier. Essentially, the roles in this team place the Herrscher of Finality as the main DPS, the Herrscher of Origin as the sub DPS, and actually sub support, though she's actually a lot more DPS than support, and the Herrscher of Truth mainly as the support, despite also dealing ice damage throughout. Besides their roles in combat, the Herrscher of Truth and Origin also activate multiple passives that increase the damage of the Herrscher of Finality. The special switch in skill also enables her to enter the field with more stacks on her unique passive gauge. Since we're already showing the results of DPS tests, we won't go into too much detail when it comes to the stats and numbers, since it'll be hard to gauge a battlesuit's performance from numbers alone. Instead, I want to focus more on gameplay aspects that are relatable to players on all levels of play. So, besides the new trio mechanic, the Herrscher of Finality is also going to have a unique passive ability, the Absolute Time Fracture. Basically, by fully charging her unique passive gauge and using her combo attack, then doing this process again, she will gain the ability to trigger Absolute Time Fracture. When triggered, except for the Herrscher of Finality herself, nothing else can move, not even time. For people who are looking to take stylish screenshots, this is a very useful ability. Combat-wise, she'll be able to perform all 5 basic attack sequences, which will then lead to her using her combo attack and ending the time fracture. Most commonly, players will be locked into doing the optimum rotation of using her weapon active, 5 basic attack sequences, then ending it with her combo attack, following which she would end the entire rotation with her ultimate. It does feel like a bit of a gimmick, but it doesn't make the ability any less cool, in my opinion at least. Before moving on, I should state that it is actually quite difficult to fully charge her unique passive gauge even once, much less twice on her own. Her stance is switched when performing each of these combo attacks, which is indicated in her unique passive gauge. Switching out will reset her stance unless, with the power of friendship, and of course money, all can be overcome. With the trio, the accumulated passive stack, called Time Wave, will not be lost even when she switches out. As mentioned earlier, 5 out of the 8 stacks needed will also be gained just by switching in with her special switch in skill. The other factor that greatly improves her rotation is, well, you guessed it, her signature weapon. It provides 3 out of 8 stacks needed to gain a Time Wave. Unlike the other 2 members of the trio, the Herrscher of Finality's signature weapon has a lot locked behind it. Functionally, her signature weapon, the Domain of Genesis, is one of only 2 weapons that allow her to use their weapon actives while in the air, the other being the Herrscher of Flame Scion's weapon, the Domain of Incandescence. But of course, like any other alternative weapon, it pales in comparison to what her signature weapon can do for her. One thing I haven't mentioned till now is that her unique passive gauge is charged by using her basic attack, gaining 1 charge per sequence. Given that her basic attack only has 5 sequences, having to fully charge the gauge with only basic attacks is definitely going to take up a lot more time and also feel a lot more disruptive. Besides having the advantage of charging faster, the cooldown of the weapon active also fully resets when her combo attack is used, allowing her to move into charging the next time wave immediately. The weapon active also has its cooldown reduced by 40% when an absolute time fracture is triggered. And just in case you have any funny ideas, cooldown is halted in the absolute time fracture, so the cooldown reduction is mainly used for what happens after the rotation. We're not gonna go too in-depth into her stigmata set either. Basically, the TLDR for her signature stigmata is that she gains a lot of base damage and more damage when executing moves used in the trio's rotation. The burning question for Stigmata would definitely be, since Flame Scion Stigmata also has Herrscher form conditions, is it usable on the Herrscher of Finality? Well, yes, but the other half of the Stigmata requires the host to lose HP or have their HP low. This condition, the Herrscher of Finality will actually be unable to fulfill naturally, especially since she has very good control over the flow of battle with all her time stops and iframes. So, should you pull for the Herrscher of Finality? All in all, the answer is yes. She's an imaginary type and is able to bypass the husk of imaginary type enemies, dealing direct damage to their cores with her ultimate. Ultimately, if you put physical teams aside for a second, the goal of most, if not all players, would be to complete the trio and hopefully fully gear them. The downside to building the Herrscher of Finality is that mechanically, she loses out so much without her signature weapon, and getting the weapon can be very costly. She is also quite dependent on the power of friendship and not quite as helpful as her teammates. As such, when building the trio, I would say she is the final one to aim for. Top priority will go to the Herrscher of Truth. We get the Herrscher of Origin for free by completing Chapter 34 while version Qiyana is live, and we also have access to the discounted Focus Supply banner, so the Herrscher of Origin's gear actually is top priority in this situation. If a player misses version Qiyana, then the order will be Truth, Truth's gear, Origin, then Finality. Gear-wise, I'd say Finality first, so she gains full functionality, and then Origins last. So that's all we have. I hope that was helpful, and also I'd like to know if my new way of doing videos for upcoming battlesuits is better. I figured a TLDR is basically easier to digest than a whole bunch of numbers and skill names, but I'm open to suggestions. Let me know if there's more that you'd like to be covered so I can keep improving. Basically, this format is for me to edit less so I can talk about stuff faster and move on to do more content and cover different areas. Also, there should already be 2 other videos, one for each member of the trio, so do check them out if you want to. Until then guys, this has been MG. See you guys around. Bye bye.